This is Dynamic Deck Davison over here at the border between the east side and the west side over here on John R. Street here in the city of Detroit. My camera right now is facing towards Nevada, which is a street here in the city of Detroit where the light is. And what I'm doing today, brothers and sisters, is to talk a little bit about John R. Street and how this street or this community or this neighborhood has fallen into despair, hopelessness, and a lot of other different things. As I pan my camera around to the right, I'm focusing in down towards 6 Mile, which is the second light down, right down there by the gas station. And if you pay close attention, you see a lot of different people walking the streets. You see prostitutes, you see drug addicts, alcoholics, so forth and so on. And what I want to say is this: there is so much pain and so much hurt on these streets. And when I talk about the pain and the hurt, I'm not just talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally and spiritually, where people's souls have been broken and their spirits have been broken and their minds have been broken. Now, a lot of these prostitutes that are out here, some of them are mothers, some of them are daughters, some of them are aunts, some of them are even grandmothers. And the thing of it is, you can't paint them all with the same brush. It's the same thing with the drug addicts, the alcoholics, so forth and so on. And the thing of it is that each one of these people have a story to tell of why they chose the life that they chose. And the other thing that we got to remember also is that they bleed just like we bleed. If someone was to shoot them, stab them, they would bleed. As I pan my camera around to the right, we see a liquor store, and we see people are making their travels, either going to work, to dropping the children off to school, going to different clinics and so forth and so on. Different appointments, different strokes for different folks. The other thing I want to talk about right now is the reason why I walk my 11-year-old son through these areas, because too many times parents want to shield their children from the reality of poverty, of drug addiction, of alcoholism, of prostitution. And by my son being a young minister, he needs to see this. He needs to feel this and understand that there are people out here who need some kind of upliftment, and understand and overstand that here in America everything is not peaches and cream. The other thing I think about too is that you got all these different liquor stores and different places in the hood which contribute to a lot of the despair. And one of the things that you'll find too is that, now a lot of people say, well, it's the choices that you make. True enough. And one of the things that I think about also is like how here in America, people are making tons of money off of people's misery through the drug trade, through prostitution, through alcoholism, through the medical mafia or the medical establishment. It's all about the almighty dollar. Another thing I think about also as I pan around is how you got a lot of people that drive through this neighborhood and they basically just go through and act as if none of this stuff is existing. Now, the other thing I think about too is that you got to be careful of people like that right there as they walk through. What's happening, man? How you doing? I'm doing all right. And as I stated before, there's so much hopelessness and despair. But the thing of it is, it's about having faith in a higher power and also being strong-willed. Now, I remember when I used to walk these streets and hang out in these streets, it was only through the grace of God that protected me. And it was my strong will. Now, another thing about this story right here, some of the same people that were out here 15 years ago are still out here, and this is 2013. And hopefully one day they will get their lives together. And we're gonna move on to another spot, so hold on tight. I'd like to say greetings to everyone. This is Dynamic Deck Davison on the spot here in the city of Detroit, right at the border between the east side and the west side over here on John R. and State Fair. Today I'm here to interview Chris, and what we're going to talk about today is substance abuse. And he's going to tell you a little bit about what it's like and why those of you that are contemplating using to stay away from it. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing okay, I guess you could say.
All right. Could you talk a little bit about your life, of how you got started into using drugs?
Yes, sir. I grew up on the east side of Detroit, in the Meringue and Kelly area. It was around me my whole entire life. I just fell into it using opiates at a very young age, pain pills and stuff. And I found out that it's much cheaper to do blow.
Okay.
I have addicts in my family. I grew up with a drug addict father, and I'm not trying to justify it, but that's it. It is what it is.
So basically, your environment and your surroundings.
Yes, sir.
Now you stayed over there by Denby High School, correct?
On Dutchess, the street behind Denby High School.
Ah, that's where I grew up at.
And my dad grew up there too. His name's Troy Stevens.
Okay, Troy Stevens. I might know him.
He's about to be 40.
Yeah, cause I'm in my mid 40s now. So as far as what's the longest period of time that you've been on the streets?
A couple years, probably close to 2 years without ever stepping foot in my mother or father's house through divorce. So.
Okay. And how old are you right now?
I'm 23. I'll be 24 on the 27th of this month.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it was just by divine order that I met this gentleman, Chris, when I was, after I dropped my son off from school and I was down on John R. and Nevada filming, and he walked past me. So I gave him one of my business cards and I asked him how would he feel about being interviewed about what's going on in the streets of Detroit. And he said he has no problem with it. Okay, could you talk about some of the different types of characters that you've seen out here since you've been out here in the streets?
You have anywhere from young kids or just fresh, like I said, that really don't even look affected, to my 20-year-old sister that's the worst habit to me, that sells yourself, prostitutes yourself up and down the street. And then the people like me, that's all they know. I mean, that's all I really know is the drug style, the lifestyle.
Now, as far as drug addiction, what would be some of the myths that you would want to shatter today if you had to talk to those who want to paint all drug addicts with the same brush and make these moral judgment calls? What were some of the myths that you would like to shatter today?
Just we're drug addicts doesn't mean we're bad people. It's a disease. You know what I mean? We start off doing it out of our own free will, but eventually it just becomes, and all you know, and you do it not to be sick if you're an addict,
Right. Now, I remember
and I just want to share with the camera, I was just recently released from jail yesterday. For 60 days, that means I completely detoxed off heroin, all of that, and see where I'm at now. So.
Now, if you had to,
like another myth, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
What I have to shatter is, obviously, just because I'm not physically addicted anymore, it's still up here. It's a chemical imbalance. It's in my head too. So,
Now, have you had any ODs?
One time I overdosed, yes.
Wow. Now, what was that experience like? That you can remember?
Yeah, like I said, I remember putting the needle on my arm and waking up with the policeman slapping me in the face. Apparently, one of my sisters and her boyfriend found me purple on my bed. And
so you had almost made that transition.
Almost. I remember blackness.
Wow. Now, let's talk about the law enforcement community. What is their reaction when they run across or come across drug addicts?
See, that we're in, depends on where you're at. Detroit police really don't care. I've been stopped in Detroit with drugs and paraphernalia. They let me go. In the suburbs, you're going to prison. You're getting. Depends where you're at, really, because this law enforcement in the city is totally fucked up and really doesn't care. But if you go across 8 Mile, it's much different. It seems to me like drug addicts get it worse than almost anybody. You know, we don't need jail time. We need rehab and help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, jail is no place to go for a drug addict. I don't think.
Now, thank you very much for that commentary there. The other thing I think about too is that there's this big misconception that somehow, as you stated, that people think that you're all bad people. And one of the things that I want to shatter the myth today by saying is that drug addiction, alcoholism, poverty, prostitution, it does not discriminate. It does not discriminate.
No, it's not.
Let me see. If you had the chance to talk to a group of young people in a drug prevention program, what would you tell them?
Don't do it. Kids that have already started or kids prior?
I would say the ones that have got caught one time, maybe using marijuana, or got caught with drug paraphernalia in their presence, and then they were like given probation, and then they had to go to like different classes. What would you tell them?
Go to the classes, take all the help you can. Don't pick up again because you're just gonna end up in prison. So it sounds like a crazy cliche. You know, jail's institutions your death, which is totally true. You know? You end up in jail, went home with some type of dead.
Okay.
On the streets.
Now, with a lot of the dope dealers, I'm not trying to attack them, but what is their mindset like?
Money. All they care about is money and you care about killing people. So really are, selling death to kids.
Right, right.
It's like Tupac says.
Yeah, Tupac, one of my favorite artists, very revolutionary.
Me too.
Okay, now, your opinion about the drug war?
The drug war as in?
Like the federal government talking about the war on drugs, and I say it's a misnomer because the drug on, to have a war, you have to be against someone versus a thing, an animate object. Yeah. Now, if you had to talk to the politicians, what would you tell them?
Get off your lazy asses and do something. Don't talk about it, be about it, change these streets.
Right.
I don't want to sell it. That's too big on the government. I think it's all crooked. It's a business to me. The government is a business almost. I think a lot of these drugs are filtered back through the government.
Laundering of drug money and selling and trading of arms and the whole shebang. And the one thing that I want to say that to most of the people that are listening to this, drugs are used as a tool for social control. And the other thing is too is that you may look at Chris and he may be involved in street narcotics, but you got all these different pharmacies out here are causing just as much damage.
Oh yeah. People have a piece of paper with their name right now. It justifies them doing drugs. Taking up like dinner or any type of opiates, the same as heroin all the time.
Okay, could you repeat that last part one more time there?
No matter if you're taking a bike in there or shooting a pack of heroin, it's the same thing really, just potency. I mean, they all derive from the same plant.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all the same thing.
Okay. Now, when you were incarcerated for the 30 to 60 days, what type of people did you meet in there? Were most of them for the same thing?
The majority of people in jail are drug addicts.
Okay.
Drug dealers and drug addicts.
From different walks of life, different races, different...
Exactly. All races. You have the guys in there that are gangster sound, and I sell drugs, blah, 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 and you have people like me that...
Battling addictions.
Battling addictions.
Okay. Wow. I really don't have any more questions for you. Is there any parting words that you want to leave to the viewer?
All the help you can. And someone like yourself, a good guy comes across and take his help and just be real. Don't be scared to ask for help. Stay off these streets.
Okay. All right, Chris, and I thank you very much, and you have a blessed day.
You too, sir.
There you have it, brothers and sisters. Just got done talking with Brother Chris about drug addiction, and he gave you a first-hand account of what's going on out here in the streets. And the thing is that I want everyone to take away from this is to understand that drug addiction, alcoholism, poverty does not discriminate. It does not discriminate. It does not base its decision to destroy you based upon your race, based upon your religion, based upon your culture, so forth and so on. And the other thing is too, is that we can see what all these drugs have gotten almost every major urban area throughout the United States of America and other places around the world. It shocks a lot of people when I do these interviews now, and they say, well, how could you take time out to talk to somebody like that? And I have to remind them that just because a person is down does not mean that they're not human, that they bleed like I do, they have to breathe the air like I do, they have to have food and drink like I do, talking about water, H2O. The other thing is too, that I think about is my addiction to alcohol, of going through my bouts and stages with alcoholism, heavy alcoholism. And by the way, right now what I'm doing is that I'm traveling down State Fair headed east as I make this last commentary.